I yield back.
Thank you. Ranking Member McCaul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Ranking Member, for holding this very important and timely hearing. I've dealt with this issue probably my entire professional career, both as a federal prosecutor in the Western District of Texas, as chairman of the Homeland Security Committee for 6 years, and now as the ranking member of the full committee on the Foreign Affairs Committee. You'll see in these pictures the recent trip I just returned from the Rio Grande Valley sector. I think, as both of you know, is probably the most active, busiest sector down on the border right now. It was, in my judgment, the worst I've ever seen it. A true humanitarian crisis, a trail of tears coming out of the Rio Grande River to the temporary detention facility and then to the Donna detention facility where these children were 100% over capacity in the pod space. 10% have COVID. That 5-year-old crying, not knowing where she was, not knowing her parents aren't there, her family's not there. She's 5 years old. This should touch all Americans, not just Republicans or Democrats, but it's a sad, sad story, and we need to do something about this. When I talked to the Border Patrol sector chief, he told me this was not a seasonal phenomenon, that this was a direct cause and effect by the rescission of certain policies from the previous administration, specifically the Remain in Mexico policy and the agreements that were hammered out between Central America, the asylum cooperation agreements. On the first day of office, President Biden rescinded these agreements. And within 2 months, we have the worst crisis we've ever seen down there. And the Border Patrol, you listen to them, not the politicians, they will tell you it's a direct cause and effect of the president's actions. So, but I think we can still solve this problem. And we have to. We can't allow this to go on. The traffickers, quite simply, are controlling our borders now, out-resourcing our Border Patrol agents, better technology, making $15 million a day, almost $500 million a month off these children that they exploit, the 40-day trek from Central America. They exploit them and extort, as you know, the families at $5,000 to $8,000 a child. They have to mortgage their homes, their ranches. We also need to address the root cause. I can talk all about border security all day long, but until we address the root cause, it's going to continue to happen. We passed bipartisan, the chairman and the former chairman, Elliot Engel, and I, the Northern Triangle Enhanced Engagement Act, signed into law. It requires basically the administration to submit a 5-year strategy to address the drivers of illegal immigration. And I think that is very prescient looking back on it. And we look forward to the report that is due, I think, within the first 6 months of this administration. I want to close with this, and I have been talking to our ambassadors, Mr. Zaguna, as I know you've been working very closely. I will be meeting with several of them later today about solutions. One solution I want to throw out to you, if the president's not willing to take these asylum policies and bring them back in place, we need to look at, I think, a very creative approach. This committee authorized into law the Development Finance Corporation. It was designed essentially to eliminate the political risk in developing nations to counter the influence of the Chinese Communist Party. I can think of no region in the world where this corporation, the DFC, it could fit better. Given China's activities in Central America, I've talked to a lot of investors about whether they think this is an opportunity, and I think the Development Finance Corporation, as you know, gets a return on its investment. I would urge you, and I would look forward to working with you, the two of you, on this very creative approach that I think from a foreign policy standpoint, I would consider this to be a foreign policy blunder, but I think a foreign policy success for all Americans in this administration would be to work with the DFC and private investors. When I talked to the ambassador from Guatemala, he told me that that would help more than anything. Throwing billions of dollars down a rabbit hole in corrupt governance isn't always the answer. But this, I think, creates a very good opportunity that we should all be taking advantage of that can really get to the root cause of the problem. With that, I yield to the witnesses.
Thank you, Mr. Ranking Member. And I have to say,